this world, there's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they all love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos. And this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry. And it is a happy and merry, tremendous Sports Thursday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Thursday morning, the world of sports, oh yeah, it's on fire. And we are going to get to all the big stories, including why the Green Bay Packers could very well be under 500 come Halloween. How I'm expecting Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final to play out tonight with the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes in Carolina, with Vegas looking for a 2-0 series lead. Carolina looking to send it to Vegas, tied at 1. Oh, baby. And why yesterday was a no good, very bad day for the Washington Commanders. I'll explain why coming up a little later in the show, and I think you're going to agree with me with what I have to say. The bets for tonight will close the program, which of course includes Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. The phone number, 310-840-4910. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/@thekostos. You can like and subscribe there. Would appreciate if you did so. youtube.com/@thekostos. And you can hit your boy up on all social media platforms at the Kostos. THEKOSTOS. But we officially begin the tremendous Sports Thursday edition of You Better You Bet with an epic Game 1 of the NBA Finals and the New York Knicks 3 wins away from a championship. Final score of Game 1 of the NBA Finals: Knicks 105, Spurs 95. Now do the math there. 105, 95. What's 10-point margin of victory? Another double-digit win for these Knicks. Now, admittedly, this isn't like up by 60 against Atlanta in a closeout game with James Dolan dropping F-bombs sitting next to friend of the show, Stephon Marbury. But still, a double-digit dub's a double-digit dub. You've heard of Triple D, diners, drive-ins, and dives? No. Double-digit dub. Get Guy Fieri on the line. Bum, bum. 12 straight playoff wins for the New York Knicks. The Knicks haven't lost since round 1 of the NFL draft. 12 straight postseason wins for the Knicks. 11 of 12 by double digits. Ecstasy, delirium for yours truly. And we will break down everything to do with the game from a basketball perspective. What the Knicks did right, what the Spurs did wrong, how the teams will adjust moving forward. But look, this show is by sports fans for sports fans. I am a diehard sports fan. the members of our crew are diehard sports fans. It's evidenced by the fact that all we did yesterday was text the 82-0 game to each other the entire night. I actually got an 82-0, and I got an 81-1 also. We are huge sports fans, just like you. And I don't get, in the history of the time that we've been on the show, you bet since 2019, I had the Yankees in the World Series against the Dodgers that got their asses kicked. I haven't had many moments like this as a fan. I'm not saying that to complain, more of a statement of fact. And what you realize when you are in these moments, when you love a team, and you've rooted for a team your entire life, and of course it makes it a little extra special, a little sweeter when the team hasn't won. And when they're trying to summit that mountain for the first time, right? And Buffalo sports fans, I think, probably felt this with the Sabres in the playoffs. And I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound of Buffalo sports fans, but just saying, kind of like a similar deal, right? When you're watching a team in the postseason in a critical spot and you've never seen them win. And the gravity that it adds to the situation. The oomph that it adds to the situation. It raises the rent in the moment. And last night, watching this game as a fan, there are moments where, and look, it's only pleasurable when your team wins. And I would equate it to kind of like game one of the Eastern Conference Final last year against the Indiana Pacers, right? Where the Knicks blow the lead at the end of the game, but it goes to overtime, and you're living and dying with every possession, but they lose. And after the game, you're crushed. You sit in the wreckage of it. You're in the pit of misery all by yourself. And yeah, all the other Knicks fans are technically in there with you, but it feels in that moment you are very, very, very alone. But when you win, there's nothing better. There's nothing better than watching a game of this magnitude and living and dying with every possession, and your team comes out on top in a close game. And I had a few moments last night watching the game that even struck me as, whoa, I feel like I'm 15 again. I feel like I'm in my early 20s again. I feel like I'm 9 years old again watching this team. I turned 43 in 2 days. I have a wife. I have a kid. My priorities in life have changed. I used to, for example, when the Giants lost to the 49ers, blew a 38-14 lead on January 4th, 2003, and lost 39-38. It literally ruined my week. A week of my life was ruined by the Giants losing that game. When Patrick Ewing missed the finger roll at the end of Game 7 in 95 against Indiana, it ruined my week. Not night. No. Ruined my week. So I've grown up, right? As we all do. We're supposed to grow up, right? And hopefully, there are things in your life that matter more to you than whether or not your favorite team wins. I don't say that as an insult. Just my kid's more important. My wife's more important. My family's more important. So I was struck at this stage in my life, in my 40s, to have a moment, plural, where you lose yourself in the moment, and you're 13 again, where I'm sitting on the couch at one point, and I decide to switch up the momentum and sit on the floor. And the Knicks start playing better, so I sit on the floor for longer. And once the Spurs start doing something, I'm back on the couch. I switched shirts during the game last night. I know in my heart of hearts deep down that I have no cosmic impact on what happens in the games. I know that I cannot watch the game. I can watch it. I can be in attendance. I can sit and watch at home. Nothing I do or say has any impact on what's going to happen on the court. But it doesn't stop me from pretending like I do and feeling like I do in that moment. Yelling out encouragement. Screaming at the TV. Got to get the stop here. Need this stop. I'm saying it out loud at the TV to the point that my wife is watching the game in the first half. She can't handle it. She's got to go upstairs, and she watched the game by herself, and I watched by myself, probably for the best. Got to get this stop. Got to score here. Come on, Jalen. Let's go. Let Wemby shoot the three. Oh, yeah. When you get these moments as fans, and again, you have to win. And if they lost last night, and I thought they were going to. I really did think they were going to lose. when it was 94-86 and you had that slow, agonizing, like water torture drip from 94-86 up to 95-94 down with 2 minutes and 16 seconds to play in the game. I felt like they were going to lose. And if they lose the game up by 8 with a couple of minutes to go in the fourth quarter of Game 1 of the NBA Finals to snap the 11-game win streak, feels like it would have shattered the aura of invincibility. It would have been tough to come back from. And I would be crushed this morning on the show. And that is the beauty of sports. The thrill of victory. The potential agony of defeat. I will be, and we'll see what happens moving forward with this team, right? I feel like I will be chasing this high. Like, forget, like you could take your drugs, take your pot, whatever, stronger drugs, whatever, your alcohol. I don't need it. This is the ultimate drug. This is the perfect drug. Get Trent Reznor on the phone. This is the perfect drug. Trent, 9 Inch Nails, sports, big moments. Your favorite team in Game 1 of the Finals. 1-point game with 2:16 to play, and you win by 10. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And after the game, my heart's beating through my chest for like an hour after the game ends. I'm sitting there. I need a cigarette. Like, I feel like I just had sex. It was unbelievable. It's better than that. It's better. I mean, I feel like I'm married. Like, I feel like sex is easier to come by unless you're a real curtain-jerking jabroni. It's easier to come by than winning Game 1 of the Finals. It's unbelievable. Knicks haven't won Game 1 of the Finals since the 70s. I've only been alive since 83. I need a cigarette after this game last night. Wow. Wow. What a fan experience. So, yeah, like, we'll talk about the game now, but, man, we're sports fans, right? I'm a sports fan doing a show for sports fans. We got to talk as fans. That is, I don't want to say it's as good as it gets because, you know, ideally, like, winning the title will be as good as it gets. But, I mean, what a run this has been. In between, you know, the demolition of Atlanta in the final 3 games of that series, sweeping the Sixers, Game 1 against Cleveland, me in attendance at the Garden, slamming them the next 3, and then last night. What more can you ask for? 12 straight wins. One of 3 teams in the history of the NBA playoffs now to have 12 straight wins, and all those teams, the other 2, have won the championship. Yeah. 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 Yeah! Yeah. Let's talk about Jalen Brunson. And I'll start with this. I was wrong. And not just on one occasion, on many different occasions with Brunson. And we could even go back briefly, and I'm not going to do, I could, because it's a good story to tell, but from the history of this Brunson era with the Knicks. So when he signed with the Knicks, I was annoyed. And the reason, I'm being sincere about this, the reason why I was annoyed is because I've been conditioned at that point as a Knicks fan to believe that everything they do is going to blow up in our face. It really had nothing to do with him as a player. It's more like, oh, this is what we're doing. I can't wait to see how this fails. So yeah, I was wrong about that, like many people were. Never expected this to be what would happen. But if you'll recall, and I've said it this season. I've said it this postseason. One of my big beefs with Tom Thibodeau was that the offense would often degenerate and devolve into Jalen Brunson ISO hero ball, where Jalen Brunson is basically cosplaying as Kobe Bryant. And he felt to me, and this is a little insulting to say, but I'm going to be honest, right? He was like a kid playing house imitating Michael Jordan in those spots. And it wasn't that Brunson's not a great player. I never said of course he's a great player. Just that as an individual ISO scorer in the waning moments in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, is this someone you want doing the Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan routine? The Steph Curry routine? I'm not so sure. I wasn't so sure. And one of the reasons why I wanted the Knicks to fire Tibbs, again, with a lot of credit goes to Tibbs for the turnaround of this team, was that's what the offense would stagnate into too many times. And I felt like Mike Brown, and it's true, right? Mike's more of a free-flowing offense where everybody kind of gets theirs, and that's been proven out over the course of the regular season and, of course, in this postseason. But I'll tell you, let's have an honest conversation right now. I will ask this question, and then I will do what sports fans love to do almost more than anything else. I will name names. I will say the names of other professional athletes. This is what we do when we play 82-0. This is a game that's taking basketball Twitter by storm, right? Naming all the, Oscar, I haven't thought of Tiny Archibald in a while. Do I think Tiny Archibald could run the pick and roll with DeMarcus Boogie Cousins? Naming names. Oh, it's so great, right? Let's name some names. Here's the question. Then I'll name names, and I will lay out for about a second and a half, a pregnant pause, and give you the opportunity. In your head, who would you take? Fourth quarter, close playoff game. You want this person, ball in his hands, shooting the ball. Ready? Jalen Brunson or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jalen Brunson or Luka Doncic. Jalen Brunson or Nikola Jokic. Jalen Brunson or Giannis Antetokounmpo. Jalen Brunson or Cade Cunningham. Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown. And the piece de resistance, the cherry on top of the orange and blue sundae, Jalen Brunson or Victor Wembanyama. You going to be serious or are you going to be a clown? Are you going to answer the question honestly or are you going to be deceitful? And I'll tell you what, you want to say, and Luka would be the one where I'd say, okay, maybe Luka. Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan. I take Brunson. You want to say somebody else? Forget about it. You're not deceiving me. You're lying to you. You're hurting your life. You're not being honest with yourself. I don't care. I know the truth. It's a you problem. This is the guy you want. I don't even understand what I'm watching. It's like it breaks my freaking brain. The Knicks are up 94-86. So they're down 14 in the third quarter, right? Storm back. And they're up by 8. And Mike Breen doing an awesome, like the 22-point turnaround. And then it starts to go to hell. Brunson's missing shots. Bridges misses and a ridiculous, ill-advised fadeaway jumper. And the Spurs end up taking a 95-94 lead with 2:16 to play. And you're thinking in that moment, right, as a fan, you're a Spurs fan, Knicks fan, you bet on the game, whatever, you're a neutral observer. Man, like, if the Spurs steal and at that point, the Spurs are stealing the game. That's not me being a fan, right? They would have stolen the game if they had won it at the end in that fashion. And I'm thinking, are we meaning the Knicks, of course, are the Knicks done if they lose this game? And of course, the answer is no. Like, they could come back in the series. But what a gut punch that would have been. And that's where your head goes to. And then here's Brunson. Clutch offensive rebound by Bridges, three-pointer. Knicks take the lead back. Couple clutch free throws by Bridges to put them up 99-95. And I'll tell you, Bridges and Anunoby, like, not no-shows until the fourth quarter, but I mean really, really, really stepped up in that fourth quarter for the Knicks. And then you got the shot of shots, which was Brunson maneuvering around like Austin Powers in the first Austin Powers movie, trying to like do the K-turn in like the golf cart in the tight hallway, like maneuvering around in these really short spurts. Devin Vassell takes this crazy jumper by the right elbow, just off the right elbow, nothing but net. And in that moment, it's like, I scream, and I have to like try and not scream loud enough to wake up my 2-year-old daughter, but it's not even a scream. It's like you squeal. Like it's a guttural noise. Like, what do you even say? It's an unbelievable, the level of difficulty on these shots. It's preposterous. And he didn't even play great in the game. He was 12 of 31. He doesn't give a bleep. He don't care. He gonna shoot because he's a killer. How about in the first half, he gets hurt not once, but twice. Not once, but twice. Harrison Barnes falls into his knee. His knee buckles. Every Knicks fan in that moment just like, there's no way this is happening right now. Goes into the locker room. He comes back out. Great. Hurts his ankle a little later on in the first half, and he's lying there on the court, and Mike Breen goes, Brunson's hurt. And it kind of it's not the same thing, of course, but when Halliburton popped his Achilles in Game 1 last year, the camera was off of him for a little bit, but we all saw him hit the ground. And Breen's like, Halliburton's hurt, and we couldn't see him on camera. And you knew that something was up. And it's not the same thing, because Brunson obviously came back in the game, but like the camera's off of him because we're checking out the play, and we know that he's lying in a heap on the other side of the court. And if you're a Knicks fan, you're wondering, what did I do to deserve this? What a cruel twist this is. How could this happen? The irony of it, to get to this point. And Brunson's going to get hurt twice? Get Alanis Morissette on the phone. The New York Knicks fill fans with glee. And then in Game 1, Brunson blows out his knee. But he came back in. And yeah, there are people that will say, I got so many messages last night. We hate Brunson. He's like Ben Roethlisberger. He milks the injuries. Here's my response to everyone that says that Jalen Brunson milks injuries. You're right. He definitely does. And guess what? I don't care. I don't care. Couldn't care less. Nothing in the world bothers me less than that. Because he came back in and he led the team to victory in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. 13 of his 30 in the fourth quarter. I can't even believe what I'm watching. Like, I can't believe that this is what it is. That this is what he is. 3 wins away from a championship. I'm sweating right now. The air conditioning isn't on in the office. That's probably the main reason, if I'm being candid. But also, just thinking about this game. And I can't wait for Game 2 tomorrow night. Around Christmas time, they say visions of, it's weird, right? What's a sugar plum fairy? What is that? What are they? One of those things as a kid, you're like, oh, sugar plum. Then you're an adult and you're like, what? What's that? Dancing through your head. I've got brooms in my head. And yes, I understand I'm tempting the gods by saying that. But look, man, my team is one of 3 teams in the history of professional basketball to win 12 straight playoff games. The other 2, champions. My team, 3 wins away. We're just getting started here on a Thursday. I don't know if I would have, I would have, because I need to draw a paycheck. This would have been real tough if the Knicks had lost last night. Honestly, it might have even, the content probably would have been better if they had lost. I thought this was pretty good, though. We are just getting started here on this Thursday. We still have so many things to hit from Game 1 of the NBA Finals. We need to talk about whatever the hell that was from Victor Wembanyama, what Mitch Johnson was thinking with Dylan Harper on the bench for the final 4+ minutes of the game, and we will continue to assign credit to the New York Knicks, and there's a lot of it to go around. And I'll tell you what I'm expecting from Game 2 of the Finals tomorrow night in San Antonio. Next, here on Westwood One Sports.
It's now 12 consecutive wins for the Knicks as they take game one of the NBA Finals. Their 7th consecutive road game. And one of the great playoff runs in NBA history is still alive.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com, progressivecommercial.com. Mike Breen on the call last night. Can I just, does anyone have this experience watching the NBA Finals or watching this broadcast team? Does Tim Legler talk? And I think Tim Legler's awesome. I think he's really good. If you watched the game and you didn't know who was on the crew, you had no idea. You would think that it's Mike Breen and Richard Jefferson. And I don't even mean that as an insult. Sincerely, I don't think Richard Jefferson is there yet to be on not that he can't call games, but like the NBA Finals necessarily, right? I don't even mean that as a criticism. It's really, really, really hard. But I do think that as Richard Jefferson gets more reps underneath his belt, I see the vision with Richard Jefferson. I do. Where I think that he is going to become one of these guys that'll be doing this for a long time. I think he tries a little too hard sometimes. And look, he's new at this really, in this type of role. And I'm not trying to criticize him. It's really, the stuff is way harder than it looks just watching at home. But I see the vision. I think he can be great. Tim Legler is great. And Legler's really good at what he's good at. He just doesn't talk. Richard Jefferson talks all the time. All the time. I'm not even saying I dislike the broadcast crew or dislike the broadcast. I thought the broadcast was fun. I'm just saying. Did anyone else feel that way? Does Tim Legler speak on the broadcast of the NBA Finals? Anyway, Mike Breen and company on the call last night on ESPN and ABC. So in the first segment of the show, talked about my fan experience and crediting Jalen Brunson, Captain Clutch, 13 of his 30 in the fourth quarter. Just an unbelievable, unbelievable game from Jalen Brunson. But like usual, with these New York Knicks, in this postseason, it's a team effort. The contributions that the Knicks got from basically everybody, I'm going to use a dramatic word here, and I am a Knicks fan saying this, and I get you have to say it, even if it's a Spurs thing, you'd have to think it. It's inspiring. Is it not? Is it not? Josh Hart does not shoot well in the game last night. Doesn't score a lot. Who cares? He's all over the place. 15 rebounds, 6 assists. He was magnificent. Magnificent last night for the Knicks. I thought OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges at halftime, and you know what I said about them yesterday on the show. I thought both needed to show up and show out for the Knicks to win. And they did both play well in the fourth quarter, and Bridges was excellent defensively throughout the game. Just because Bridges doesn't score a lot doesn't mean he's bad in the game. He's excellent on defense, but you know what? In the fourth quarter, made some plays, made all his free throws. Anunoby heated up in the fourth quarter, made all his free throws, played great defense. They got the job done. How about unsung hero of the game last night? Jose Alvarado. Rocky Mountain High, Alvarado. What a game from Jose Alvarado. Don't call his name. Don't call his name. Alvarado. Unbelievable. Brunson out with Brunson broken, torn ACL and shattered ankle. Here's Alvarado pickpocketing Wemby, making ridiculous, reverse layups, 3-pointers. His contribution to the game last night, while Brunson was on the bench or in the locker room, invaluable. Landry Shamet is playing for the veteran minimum in the NBA Finals and is playing awesome defense. There's video on social media of Shamet calling out the plays the Spurs are going to run from film study, or he's cheating. I don't care. It's great. Draining 3-pointers. Unbelievable confidence. Deuce McBride banks in a three-pointer at the end of the third quarter. Incredible. Mitchell Robinson punched something and hurt his hand, but you know what? Came to play last night. And then there's Karl Anthony Towns. I said last year, and I'll hold to this, the best player in the Eastern Conference Final loss for the Knicks last year against the Pacers was Cat. He's got it in him. He's unquestionably, what is the argument against Karl Anthony Towns being a winning ball player? Western Conference Final with Minnesota, Eastern Conference Final with the Knicks, NBA Finals with the Knicks, they're up 1-0. And Towns was spectacular last night. Spectacular. To the point that, like, Brunson's my favorite Knick because, like, how could he not be? I feel like Towns is actually my favorite player on the team. His arc in his career is incredible. The way that we used to talk about him when he was in Minnesota, he's soft, right? Can he be a winning player? To now, when first quarter of the game last night, he's going at Victor Wembanyama, and he's beating Wemby off the dribble. This is like going head-to-head with, like, Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th. Like, he doesn't care. He's baring his fangs at the celestial being. He's going at him. He was excellent. He was the primary defender on Wemby last night. We'll get to Wemby in a little bit. And after the game, Karl Anthony Towns, who I have, again, like, grown to really like, I don't know him personally, but just from afar, listening to him speak, watching his growth. Listen to what he said doing an interview with the fine folks on Inside the NBA as it concerned last night and the feeling that he had during the game.
I don't know what it was, but I just felt a calm and a peace that, I don't know, had to come from the woman above. So I felt really confident about today. I felt good. I felt like a kid. It felt like it was just fun out here. This is something that as a kid you always dream about all day. It was just a weird feeling. It felt like I was a kid getting ready to go play my Saturday AAU games and Sunday AAU games. And in a way, I felt like I was seeing her in the stands. And it was fun. It was really fun. And it was really comforting.
So for people that don't know, Karl Anthony Towns lost his mother 6 years ago. And look, if you, whether you're a Knicks fan, a Spurs fan, whatever team you root for, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If you have a soul, like you're not a soulless bastard, you can empathize with him. Lost his mom, turned his world upside down. I hear him talk like that. I'm lucky. My dad passed away. My mom is still alive. Like, for people, if you've lost it doesn't have to be a mom. It doesn't have to be someone, the closest person to you. You lose that person. And what it does to your life. And the grief that it causes. And if you're old enough, like, it is an inexorable fact of life. You will experience this. You will. And grief comes and goes in waves. It's difficult to traverse. Sometimes you feel like you're going to get buried by it. And it does, from experience, gets a little easier as time goes on, but like that hurt never goes away. Never will. That's the human experience. For him to, and look, lots of people move, like continue living their lives. So it's not like I'm crediting him for, getting up in the morning and showing up to work. But like, he's a sensitive guy. I don't say that as in a disrespectful way. It's pretty obvious, right? To see where he's come in his journey. Again, you have to be like a real, like, J.O. to not say, even if you hate the Knicks, to say you feel good for him, personally. to talk about, I felt like my mom was there. I felt like she was in the stands. Does that move you? Even a little bit? If it doesn't, is something wrong with you? That doesn't move you? Doesn't make you like him? Even if you hate the Knicks. Even if you want him to not make a shot the rest of the finals. You're a big Spurs fan. I get it. You can't appreciate that? He's a stud last night, man. Body on the line, hitting the deck, defense, offense, passing, leadership. In the huddle telling the team, let's focus on defense. When we do that, our offense is going to come. This team doesn't fold. Doesn't mean they're going to win. They don't fold. Jalen Brunson, deservedly, will get the headlines. Deservedly. But OG and Bridges and Alvarado and Shamet and Deuce and Hart and Mitch and Towns and Mike Brown, they deserve the credit too. On the other side, we'll talk about the losing team last night. And I'll just say it. I don't know what the hell Victor Wembanyama's doing. We'll talk about that and what the Spurs can do to even up the series at a game apiece tomorrow night in San Antonio right after this on You Better You Bet.
it's almost not like I have anything to figure out. It's almost like I have to play normal, not even good. This is why I'm not worried. We're gonna be so much better. I'm gonna be so much better.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
BetMGM players will receive a World's Game Tournament Winner Boost token. Add the Tournament Winner Boost to your bet slip and activate the token. If your wager wins with the token, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. That is the voice of San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama. So Wemby last night, if you look at, you're a box score monkey. You don't watch the games. You look at the box score, and that's where you formulate your opinion. Victor Wemby, you'd think, oh, man, Wemby, man, 26 points, 12 boards. Yeah, 3 blocks. Great game for Wemby. Not so much. Now, Wemby issues that quote post-game in which he says, I don't need to play good. Honestly, I expect better from Victor Wembanyama. As smart as he is, the way he conducts himself, it's well. I don't need to play well. I don't hold everybody to the standard, but Victor Wembanyama will hold you to the standard of using proper English. He just needs to play normal. Now, there is part of me, and maybe part of you, that feels like he should be wearing a Cleveland Cavaliers jersey saying something like that. Oh, just lost the game? Didn't play that great? I don't even need to play well. Just all good. Yeah, we basically won the game. No worries. We're actually, Kenny Atkinson, if you ask him, the Knicks aren't even playing. The Cavs are up 1-0 on the Spurs. That's what the shot quality will tell you off of last night. But the crazy thing about Wemby is, and like the way he thinks, just based on my interpretation of it, I absolutely understand what he's saying, even though it sounds nuts. Because what he's saying is, I need to not do what I did in game 1. Which begs the question, why did he do it? Whatever. It's a 7-game series. You can adjust. He talked about different teams guard you different ways. I'll just tell you from the fan experience. And maybe you felt the same way, whether you like the Knicks, like the Spurs, you bet the game, didn't bet the game, you're a neutral observer. I personally, and I can eat my words. Like, I may come on the air next week and tell you, man, I got that wrong. I'm not scared of Victor Wembanyama shooting 3-pointers. I'm sitting, watching the game, saying out loud, take the 3. Give it to him. Let him shoot it. If he makes it, so be it. Someone needs to tell Victor Wembanyama, hey, pal, monsieur, you're 7'6", and you can't teach that. You ain't Steph Curry, pal. Stop shooting a million 3-pointers. Be somewhat, he's 8 feet tall. Go down by the rim and lay the ball in. He had a play going from left to right on the telephone where he dunked the ball from the foul line. He Mr. Fantastic did, like Michael Jordan in Space Jam. I'm like, who can do this? Why is he shooting 9 3-pointers? Why? Give him the threes. I love when he shoots 3-pointers. If the Knicks are going to lose the finals because Victor Wembanyama turns into Reggie Miller, because Victor Wembanyama is all of a sudden tall French Ray Allen, God bless. Tip the cap. Move on. Let him do it. Why is he doing that? Why? Ridiculous, right? So yeah, when Wemby says that after the game last night, I don't need to play good, well, he needs to play normal, I take that to mean I need to be 7'6". Now, the Knicks know that, of course, and what will the adjustment be? I think it's fascinating. Now, we're going to have a couple guests on next hour. My friend Salicata will join. We taped an interview yesterday with the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, which was great. Shout out to Doug Miller and the Saints PR team for helping us out. We'll play that next hour. So we still have a bunch more to get to from game 1 of the finals. I want to talk about Julian Champagnie, and I want to talk about Dylan Harper and Steph Castle and Mitch Johnson. So still a lot to get into from the NBA Finals. I'll just say this on an overall macro level before we get more micro again next hour on the show, talking about San Antonio. Because I talked a lot about the Knicks, and I feel like it was merited after last night. The Spurs will get equal time. It'll just come a little later in the show. I'm going to be really honest with everybody. And I hope you know that I don't BS you. To the point that, like, there are Knicks fans on social media that are angry with me because I haven't been saying the entire postseason that the Knicks are going to win the title. And, like, God bless you if you're that type of fan. You just think you're going to win all the time. Like, I have to be honest and objective with my job, right? So you know when I say something like this, I'm not lying. If I felt the other way, I would say it. Because I've done it my entire career with all the teams I root for. I'm being serious. The Knicks are better than the Spurs, right? Like, they are, right? That doesn't mean that the Knicks are going to win. They don't have to win. They obviously don't have to win the series. The Spurs can obviously come back and win the series, of course. I'm weirdly and oddly confident that the Knicks are going to win the series. I think they're going to win tomorrow night. They've won 12 straight. You know, Bill Simmons is one of the great basketball minds of, like, my lifetime. His book, The Book of Basketball, which I think a lot of people have read, he talks about the secret to basketball at the beginning of the book, like the prologue. And Isaiah Thomas told him, the secret of basketball is it's not about basketball. The Knicks have the secret. Look at how they play with each other. And they're never out of it. Never. I don't have to be right. I think they're going to win the championship. I think they're going to win tomorrow night. Oh, man. What a sentence to say out loud. Next hour on the show, we will talk to San Antonio Spurs. I look forward to that. We'll talk Champagne. We'll talk Harper. And the big mistake that Mitch Johnson made in the game. We'll be joined by the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore. But we will start the hour with my friend Sal Licata, the voice of New York sports.
biggest names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
The tremendous Sports Thursday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. First hour of the show, so good. We haven't even gotten really to the ancillary characters and players on the San Antonio Spurs. We still have to talk about Dylan Harper and how awesome he was last night. And I don't know what the hell Mitch Johnson's thinking not playing Harper in the final 4+ minutes of the game. I understand De'Aaron Fox is the vet, and I understand that Fox has been clutch in the past. Dylan Harper was the best player last night for the San Antonio Spurs. He needs to be in the game, in the closing. Figure something out to get Dylan Harper on the court if you're the San Antonio Spurs. We'll talk about Champagnie, my expectations for game number 2. Looking forward to that. The head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, will join us about 20 minutes from now. Looking forward to that. And I am still in ecstasy and in delirium from that win last night. We will check in with my friend Sal Licata, celebrity Knicks fan, and the voice of New York sports in just a moment here. But, we played the open to the second hour of the show, which features the voices of Joe Buck and Kevin Harlan. So yesterday on the show, we had Bob Kostos on, the legend, right? Also, he was on NBA radio, Bill, with our friend David Shepard, who does a really nice job. I like David Shepard. And David Shepard made press for his Bob Kostos interview, and yet none of our stuff got out there. What do you have to say about that, Bill?
Good for David Shepard. He's been on this show a couple of times. We love him.
I'm happy. I liked it. I think David Shepard's really good. I've heard him driving on NBA. I think he's good. Did we send anything out from the Bob Kostos interview? Or
we did send stuff out to the Bob Kostos interview. I heard a couple responses, and we'll see if it gets published today.
Oh, okay. So we had Bob Kostos at the end of the interview do something for the show because he voiced, and he even confirmed it because it sounds like something I'm making up. He voiced my demo reel coming out of college because he would come to Fordham when I was a student at WFUV there. And I asked him, I was like, listen, our names are similar. Would you do this? He did it. It was really cool. And then he did something for the show that we're going to play in that open. So, Bill, why is it, I know the answer, why is it not in the open today? Tell the audience.
Our head production guy, Russ, who we've mentioned on this show before, we know that Russ likes to put a lot of Ross on his opens.
The sauce, the Russ sauce.
The sauce. Russ is on vacation this week. Good for Russ. He's going to be back Monday, so I would expect that updated open to be Tuesday morning.
Can you do so we can't even have it for Monday?
Well, we'll see. Maybe he does it first thing when he gets in, and we'll get it in.
That's unlikely. Can you do an impersonation of Russ saying that he's on vacation and can't put the Bob Kostos clip in the open?
Probably not, but I could do a terrible impression if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, go ahead.
For Nick Kostos is open. We cannot get Bob Kostos because Russ Matera, am on vacation.
All right, this is a bad job. Tyler is with us here. Tyler, would you like to do an impersonation of Russ saying that he can't put Bob Kostos in the open because he's on vacation?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it. All right, here we go. Bob Kostos. Oh, I messed up already. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go. I'm on vacation and I can't get to Bob Kostos in the You Better You Bet Open. Did that work?
Joining us right now on the show is the voice of New York sports. It was so bad that I chose not to react. My reaction was to bring Sal Licata on the show to rescue the segment. Joining me now on the show, the voice of New York sports, the host of the Sal Licata Show, which you can find on YouTube and in podcast form, produced by. I mean, honestly, Sal, with the way Bill's going right now, I might take Can can we trade Bill for Bada Booms? Straight up.
We're thinking the same thing because I'm like, Kostos, I don't know if you can rip my guy Bada Booms anymore. You might be able to use him over there with your crew.
No, I think we need to get Bada Booms on the show. Sal is the best. Sal_Licata on Twitter. Big Knicks fan, obviously. Big NBA fan. How you doing, my friend, off of last night?
You know, I think the default words are like, oh, unbelievable, incredible win. But is it really? If you give it a second, it's not incredible and it's not unbelievable. It is, in fact, very believable because this is what the Knicks have done since April. They continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, and yet there are some people that doubt. You said it before, ecstasy, euphoric, whatever words you're using. I think that's
delirium.
The feeling. Yeah, delirium. Like, I know it's only one win.
Can I be honest? I've kind of stolen those two words, not because he didn't invent them, but Joe Beningo, who's a New York sports radio legend, uses those two words all the time, and I really like it, so I've started using them also. So I'm being honest about that.
Fair enough. That's fine. Everybody's got to bite some material from other people, right? That did it before. I mean, come on. It's a different generation. Joe was one of the voices of New York sports, and maybe not so much anymore. But anyway, I'm just trying to enjoy it. I expected this. I was excited to have the angst. We talked about that when you were on my podcast last week, and we were expecting it was going to be the Thunder, and you were talking about getting ready to hate these guys. It ends up being the Spurs, but it's the same thing. We were finally in a battle from a Knicks perspective last night. Knicks didn't even play their A game. Big bad Wemby, who couldn't be stopped, was stopped to at least a certain degree. The Spurs looked like they were going to pull away at one point. And, the end of the half bothered me. The third quarter, the start of that. The Knicks won on the road against Big Bad Wemby, Big Bad Western Conference, and the Spurs without even playing their best game. I mean, I don't know what more people need to see to believe that this team is obviously more than legit now, just 3 wins away from winning it all.
What's so funny, I didn't even bring up the end of the first half, which was their Knicks are down by 2. Brunson gets pickpocketed by Fox, and then Champagne hits a 3-pointer, and it goes from 2 to 7 just like that as a gut punch before the end of the first half, 55-48. As you're talking, I'm thinking, because we were texting a little bit about it, all the texts that I sent to all my friends last night, they were all something like this. Bro. Dude. Unreal.
Right.
Insane.
Right.
I mean. Dude, it's like, what? There's nothing else to say other than this at this point, right, with 12 straight wins.
So do you still feel, what was I didn't get your exact prediction going in. I know how you felt about the Western Conference. So like that.
I like the Knicks.
Okay. Me too. So I'm not going to come on and say, well, it's over now. I don't want to do that because I don't want to be labeled a jinx or anything like that. But if I felt like the Knicks were going to win before, my thinking was, and I didn't even give a specific games. I said, if the Knicks lose game 1, I think they win in 6. If the Knicks win game 1, I really believe there's a chance they wrap this up in 5. And nothing I saw in game 1 would make me feel any different.
You getting the broom?
Dude. I think it's possible. I know that sounds insane.
We can't do. Yeah, it's a national show. Like now, it's just like now we're like wish casting New York sports stuff here.
But honestly, like the games that the Knicks should have lost, games that make series go 6 or 7 games. Game 1 against Cleveland, they won. Game 1 against the Spurs, they won. They're winning the games that they should have probably lost, which means they're going to be the games that they should win when they shoot the lights out. Which means that's how sometimes and then before you know it, now you're up 2-0, coming home. Now you're up 3-0. Like that's how the sweeps happen. I am not predicting a sweep. Do not. But did it cross my mind when I'm trying to maybe plan about going to game 5 in San Antonio? I'm like, there might not be a game 5. Or certainly a game 6 at the Garden. There might not be a game 6. I don't want to get nuts just after one game, but I don't think that's what this is. I think this is more than just one game. I think it was the last unknown that this team had to face. And by the way, forget about what you or I think after watching this game, or the audience, you, the listener, you, the viewer here on YouTube. Like, forget about what you think about it. What about them? Now the last unknown, finals, on the road, Wemby. How's it going to be against a tougher opponent? Well, now they know that they didn't even play their best game, and they still came out victorious.
Who's going to win tomorrow night and why?
I mean, the way that I've been saying it during the streak is, how can you pick against the Knicks when they continue to win every game? Even if you draw it up the way that it would favor the Spurs. Okay, so like Wemby goes nuts, right? You don't think the Knicks are going to bounce back with a better shooting effort? Like Brunson from 3, 2 of 9. He's going to shoot better than that. I guarantee it. Josh Hart, maybe a little bit more offensive input. The only thing that worried me a little bit, Mitch last night, you could tell that the hand bothered him offensively and finishing around the rim. I expected to be a tight game. By the way, the Knicks won by double digits. Like, they can't beat the Spurs by 30. What happens when they play less and they play against a better team? Okay, they beat them by 10. I mean, come on. Like, they're 5-point underdogs. They still beat them by 10. So I don't know how exactly the game is going to play out. I would say the Knicks play better. Maybe Wemby plays a little bit better. I still am not picking the Spurs just because, law of averages says they're going to split. Law of averages says the Knicks would have lost a postseason game or 2 by now. They haven't. I'm going to ride the wave, and I say the Knicks come back up to the Garden up 2-0.
When the Spurs were down 94-86 and came back to take a 95-94 lead with 2:16 to play, be honest, who did you think was going to win the game? I thought the Spurs were going to win.
The way that I would tell you is even when the Knicks were down big, I still was saying, like, it's still possible here that they could come back. Anything's possible. And once it got close, I never truly felt like they were going to lose that game. That's just my gut feeling. Now, I'm also, to be honest with you, I wasn't sitting there watching on the couch in isolation. I'm out of the bar doing my post-game podcast, so I'm getting prepared for that. So I'm watching around craziness.
You drank?
I did not drink at all, no.
Smoke?
No, nothing. Although I felt like I was drunk afterward. I don't know what was going on. Like I woke up this morning like I had a hangover.
Because you're euphoria from the game as a Knicks fan.
Dude, it was insane. The atmosphere, even from the opening bucket, people, and this was a small bar, and there were a lot of people in there, but still, Brunson hits that 3, and the place was going nuts.
Absolutely.
They come back, the place is going nuts. The bar guy's ringing the bell. It was insanity. So my point is, I wasn't sitting there. Nor, we do this for a living. So like there is an aspect where you watch the game as a professional and I wasn't sitting there ever thinking like, oh no, now the Spurs are going to win. I was in the midst of the battle with the fans just going through it. But once the Knicks came back and instead of the Spurs pulling away and expanding on their lead, once the Knicks came back, I felt like they were going to win the game.
You better you bet on this Thursday, Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos joined by my friend Sal Licata. Sal Licata Show on YouTube and podcast forum on Twitter at Sal_Licata. What punishment, if you were, I don't know, like you're the dictator of the United States. Moron fan runs onto the court to take a selfie with Victor Wembanyama and disrupts a steal by the Knicks, and the Spurs end up getting possession back. What punishment should that fan face?
I mean, is jail for at least 10 years too much? Dude, you know what bothered me?
I was thinking execution. I'm kidding. Joke. To be clear, I don't think the guy should die, but also in the moment.
I do think he should go to jail, period. I don't know how long they're going to put him in it. But you know what makes it even worse to me? I just saw as I was doom scrolling, New York Post, posted, I don't know if it was Instagram or X, the video of that idiot. Like, but that's the reason that's the reason why those knuckleheads do that, is because it's going to get play all over the place. And then you get the post, and I'm sure other outlets are posting his point of view on there. So, I mean, come on, man, you can't do that. What are we getting to a world where these people are out of their minds with this streaming and videos and stuff? You can't run on the floor. The guy should at least be in the jail for a while. No, you got to make the punishment has to be so it would be a deterrent to never make anybody want to do that again.
I'm trying to think of as crazy as I was when I was younger, I never would have done that in a million years.
You know, the only time I would have done it, I was at Game 2 of the 2000 World Series, and I was
of course, it had to have been when the Yankees beat the Mets. Of course,
not when they beat them. When Clemens threw the bat at Piazza.
Oh, it was great.
I've told this story many times before to people who are like Todd Zeal or Bobby Valentine. I just told it to Bobby Valentine recently. I was in the upper tier, or whatever the second level is at the old Yankee Stadium. Had I been in field level, I can't promise you that I would have stayed in my seat. I was enraged beyond belief, and I wanted to jump over the rail and go attack Clemens myself because nobody did it. Outside of that, though, I'm with you.
When Pedro Martinez threw Don Zimmer to the ground, if I wanted to fight him, Pedro would kick my ass. But like I wanted to fight Pedro in that moment in 2004. What would I have to pay? So let's say this is 21-year-old Sal Licata.
Yeah.
X number of dollars to run onto the court during Game 1 of the NBA Finals to take a selfie with Victor Wembanyama. How much money would I have to pay you at 21 years old to do that?
Bro, I don't think I mean, I was never the smartest guy. Obviously, you've known me for a while, but I was never that dumb. And I was always afraid, like...
What's the dollar amount?
But there is none because I'm thinking of the ramifications. Are we talking about? I know it's hypothetical, but like if I'm going to go get put in jail, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm never going to be able to go. Like I'd be so nutty, especially at 21, where there's no amount of money that would have gotten me to risk getting kicked out of that game. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing. Like now, maybe a little bit different. I could use some of the money. You know, you get the mortgage paid, just lost a job. Like you do it for what? Like 10 grand, maybe? No,
what would you rather? Okay. You're not a huge golf fan, right? But you're aware of like what happens in the sport of golf, right?
I like golf.
So,
yeah.
Do you?
Don't love it.
Okay.
I'm not obsessed with it. The majors, I'll get into a little bit. Yeah, I play a little bit.
Here's two scenarios, two doors to walk through. Door number 1, walk onto the court during game 1 of the NBA Finals. Door number 2, like Rory McIlroy is about to like make the putt to win back-to-back Masters, and as he's rearing back to putt the golf ball, you yell, "Get in the hole."
Which one would I rather do?
Yeah,
I'd rather yell, "Get in the hole." I think that's safer, and I feel like that's more me.
Actually, I don't think it is.
Why?
I think that's worse.
If I yell, "Get in the hole," that would to me that'd be great. You have my voice out there. I think it's funnier than running on the court.
Because if he misses, like you will have
so great.
Yeah, I mean, that you'd go to jail for. I think.
Well,
honestly,
really?
they might kill you for that. Like they might execute you on the grounds for that of Augusta. I feel like Augusta National is like its own. Like is Augusta National part of the United States, or I feel like it's like its own country almost.
I know they obviously we know the restrictions that they've had forever there. You're right. I like golf. I don't know enough about it. I know you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. But I would run the risk, and I would be dumb enough at 21. If you and I were at the Masters, and I was 21, and you're like, bro, I'll give you $1,000 if you yell out, "Get in the hole" right before when Rory's in his backswing here. I would have done it. Get in the hole. Yeah.
All right. Now, what if it's Jack Nicklaus for the ceremonial tee shot? Jack is stuffed into his cardigan like a sausage, and like 87, shuffling out there on like for the ceremonial opening tee shot, full quiet serenity, and you yell "mashed potatoes" as Jack is about to swing. That or running onto the court.
Yeah, 100%. I'd rather yell. I think any spot where I could yell, I think that's funny. You don't think that that's funny? Like running on the court to me is
to
dangerous.
Be clear, to be clear, I think it might be the funniest thing in the history of funny things.
But you're saying about trouble.
But you can't do it.
I think running on the court, like my argument in court would be, I didn't threaten anybody. I just yelled. Like I just used my words. I'm sorry. I forgot where I was, or I was a little inebriated, or whatever it may be. You run on the court, man. You don't know what could happen in today's world. Like you can't be doing that crap. And then you're doing it, this idiot doing it with the phone, taking the picture of it. So somebody should have punched him in the face, tackled him. I would have liked to have seen a more ferocious tackle like we've seen at times with these fans running on the field. But I hope he gets jail time, like at least 3 years, probably more like 5 to 10.
What is your sense of what Victor Wembanyama's game will be tomorrow night?
I would have to imagine, first of all, his defensive presence. Like I could joke around and say he's not as dominant as Shaq in his prime. Everybody talks like he's Shaq and Kobe in his prime, and to sprinkle in some Jordan and LeBron, he's not. He's not there yet. He might get there one day. He's not. But defensively, you feel the presence. I mean, you see the guys, the Knicks are afraid to attack the rim, and then when they do get in there, it's getting swatted away by this beast with this 7'4", whatever his wingspan is. I would expect
it's way
Wemby
more
to play.
than 7'4". It's like 9 feet.
He's 7'4", and whatever his wingspan is at 7'4" is the way I meant to say that. But yeah, his wingspan is incredible. So you blow by him, you circle around him, and you're still getting swatted away. So defensively, we know what he's going to do. I would expect to see the best of Wemby in game 2. This has to be the game where Wemby takes it over. I still think he could take over the game, yet the Knicks could come out victorious again. So I would fully expect a 30-plus point game from Wemby, knowing his team. Like, if the Spurs don't win this game, dude, is it unrealistic to talk sweep at that point if they don't win game 2?
No.
They have to win. This is gravy train city for the Knicks. The Knicks are due to lose a game. They're allowed to lose a game for the Western Conference. They already did their job technically, get one of the 2 on the road. Like, they have home court for the rest of the series. Like, if the Knicks win this game, how can you make an argument for the Spurs? Like, based on what exactly?
Lightning round here to close.
Yeah.
30 seconds per. How scary is Dylan Harper? Like when Dylan Harper has the ball, like what is your like terrified level as a Knicks fan? Mine's like a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Dude,
not
he's
there.
a beast, and he's not afraid of the moment, and he's woofing at everybody. Like, he's got it, however you define it.
All right, maybe then he's a little bit too... Now, look, I'd be lying to you if I said I watched him. You watch him much more than I have. I know he was impressive last night, and maybe the one scorer that they have, but I feel like the Knicks have faced better guys than Harper. I think he'll get there one day, but Donovan Mitchell would scare me. Even McCollum, the way he was playing against Atlanta, I know he's not the same player as Dylan Harper, obviously, at this point in his career. The Sixers, Maxey scared me, although he was hurt in that series, so I would say right now at like a 6-7 level, maybe not. I'm not that scared by him.
Who is your favorite player on the Knicks outside of Brunson? 30 seconds.
God, that's a tough one, man. I love them all. I'd probably say Josh Hart. He wears the number 3. He's the first guy to respect that number 3 since Starks. Others have had it. Just the intangibles that he brings, the intensity that he plays with. Really, that's my thing about this Knicks team. I love them all. Even Cat. I love Cat. I love OG. OG is a beast, a silent beast. Deuce off the bench. I'm not one of these Shamet guys, so I wouldn't put him in there. Almost everybody else. I love Mitch before the hand thing, but I would probably go Josh Hart. Who's yours?
Towns.
Wow.
I love Towns.
Okay. Always? You've always been a Towns fan?
Since last year, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, towards the end of last year. Obviously, he hasn't been on the Knicks for since the end of last year, I would say, yes.
Dude, real quick, Brunson got better since he became a Knick. Karl-Anthony Towns, who was an all-world player before he was a Knick, he's better as a Knick. The Knicks have brought in guys and they've gotten better here. You can't say enough about how Towns has grown his game.
If you could yell anything at Rory McIlroy when he's swinging to win the Masters, like putting to win the Masters, what would you yell and why? Keep in mind, this is a family-friendly show.
Yeah, well, I would just probably say something that you can't say on a family-friendly show. I don't know, maybe something about Liv, golf, right? He has
like what?
with that. Maybe something
like Liv's better.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I like getting the hole to me is so simple. Maybe something I have to do some from Happy Gilmore.
Counter argument to that. I think that's what makes it so funny. The getting the hole.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so. That's why I like it. Yeah. It's so simple, but it's yet so effective. It's just get in the hole. Come on.
It's honestly, I am infantile that I find this so funny.
It's hilarious, and they won't be able to tell whether it was rooting against or for him. Like you could say it mockingly to knock him off his game,
or you'd be like, "No, I'm a huge fan."
Yeah.
So I said, "No, I really I wanted him to make the putt. I just got ahead. I really want him to win." So we have a pre-taped interview that I have to get to here. You're the best. Yeah. Sal Licata Show, YouTube and podcast form. I'll catch up with you down the line.
Later, Nick.
Sal Licata here with us on the show. We'll take a break, and on the other side, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints in an interview taped yesterday, Kellen Moore, here on Westwood One Sports.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
All right, Nick Kostos here, Westwood One Sports, You Better You Bet on this tremendous Sports Thursday. Joining us now on the show, a very special guest, live from Louisiana, where he's conducting his team's organized team activities right now, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, with us on the show. Coach, welcome to You Better You Bet. How's it going at this point in the offseason?
Going great. Thanks for having me. We're fired up. We're going through OTAs, and we've got a few more weeks to this.
Oh, absolutely love it. Season is almost here. You know, you guys will be starting training camp on July 29th. It feels like it's right around the corner. Now, we were talking a little off air, and I had mentioned to you that I loved, even as a Knicks fan, that you were showing the team last year footage of the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs from their run to the NBA Finals, where they went to Game 7 against the Thunder, and the breakneck pace that they were playing at. And you told me that today, meaning Wednesday, we're playing this on Thursday, that you had a different type of presentation, basketball-wise, prepared for your players. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I love the NBA. I'm a huge basketball guy. I love the NBA, and so we're always looking for different cross-sports references, different things. And so last year we hit the NBA Finals, kind of the path which each team took and kind of the highlights that we can take from them. This week, obviously, we've been hitting the Spurs, and today was the Knicks. So it's tough fun. We kind of dug into Jalen Brunson's career, just the underdog story and his relentlessness and the way he played, his play style, and then his leadership. And so it was a lot of fun. I think, our teams kind of split, Spurs, Knicks, and it'll be fun to see.
What team did you grow up rooting for in the NBA?
I'm a state of Washington guy. So I had the Sonics, and then we got, it got ripped apart, So we lost the Sonics, and since then I've been a little bit of a nomad wherever I've been. You kind of fall into the path with those teams.
So true or false, you were rooting pretty hard for the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday night to beat Oklahoma City.
I'm still committed to the Spurs, yeah. I mean, I'm good with that. So there's still a little bit of hesitancy on OKC. As much as I love those guys, I mean, trust me, those guys have an awesome program, and we get to learn a lot from those guys. But, I still have my Sonic days.
Yeah, I mean, if I were a Sonics fan, I would root for Oklahoma City to win 0 games moving forward. So certainly understand where you're coming from there. So, look, we're playing this on a Thursday, but we're taping it on a Wednesday. And I said to you off air, a little serendipitous, Coach, because, a big question with us in the media this offseason has been, is Alvin Kamara going to play for you guys this year? Is he going to retire? What's going to happen? He showed up today, meaning Wednesday, at your OTAs. So what's the latest on Alvin Kamara and his status with you guys heading into the season? Obviously, you signed Travis Etienne from the Jaguars at running back this offseason.
Yeah, it was great to see Alvin. Traditionally, he doesn't take this time of year, and is usually down here during this OTA phase. Usually he's back training on his own. And so it was great to see him at the end of the day. It was good to see him here, and obviously, signing Travis and kind of working through that part of this thing. There's a little bit of a process from a business side of it, but I love Alvin. He's obviously meant a lot to this organization, and it's good to get him back in the building and just kind of get him acclimated and get us going in the right direction here.
I think this question is coming, and you've probably answered it, and you know how to answer it. Obviously, do you think he's going to be part of your team this year?
I think that's just building your roster, as you go. And certainly Alvin's been one of the best running backs in this league for a long time. He's still a talented player. We can play with both those guys and play really good football together. And so, sometimes the business side of this thing, you just kind of navigate a little bit, and you kind of let that take its course.
Coach, I'm so excited to watch your offense this year. With the way last year ended, how good Tyler looked at the end of last year. Tyler Shuck, obviously. Olave's a stud, drafting Jordan Tyson. So I want to get micro and talk about some of the players on this offense. But just from a macro level, I am guessing any excitement that I have, fans of the team have, I'll just say, because I love it, fantasy football players have about your offense. I'm guessing that excitement is dwarfed by your excitement for what you guys can do this year. I'd love for you to just speak about the offense and kind of like how you feel about them heading into the season. I'm guessing it's really positive.
Yeah, no question. Obviously our expectations are as high as anyone's. We're always going to expect really high things from ourselves. And we have an excellent group. We have a group that's, kind of transitioned over the last year. This roster's changed a lot, particularly on offense. And so, I'm excited about this group. I'm excited for the way these guys have been working all off season, the way these guys have been training. I mean, Tyler Shuck finished last year really, really well, but then to see his leadership through this whole off season program, to see what these guys have put in, it's showing up. And so it'll be fun. Obviously, we're kind of in those baby step phases. We're in the OTAs. We'll get to training camp, and then before we know it, we'll be, kicking off in Detroit to open the season.
You mentioned Tyler's leadership this offseason, and maybe that's the answer to this question. He was so impressive in the second half of last season, obviously, in his rookie year. So maybe leadership's the answer. But what would you say is the one thing, or maybe two things, if leadership's one of them, that have impressed you the most from Tyler from last offseason when he's a rookie to this one where he's entering as the guy?
Yeah, I think it's just creating rhythm and routine with your teammates. And, every quarterback is going to come into this league at a certain stage, and you're just going to start stacking years after years. And so, the continuity on offense, the system that he can kind of look at what happened last year, all the positives, the things that we want to improve on, and we certainly have to get better at. And he can just start stacking. And I think that's the biggest thing that he's trying to accomplish, is just getting better and taking more ownership and control of this entire system.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super fun to watch him in this offense this year. And one of the reasons why you guys spent your first-round pick on Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson. And kind of the thing with Tyson was, if he can stay on the field, he's the best receiver in the draft. So obviously you guys feel good about him physically taking him where you took him. And I'd love for you to speak about his role and what it's going to be in this offense this year alongside Chris Olave, and what should be a pretty exciting passing attack.
Yeah, really excited about being able to acquire Jordan. Those drafts sometimes are a little bit of a guessing game to see how it goes, and we were certainly hoping that this would be the outcome. It worked out great. Jordan's versatility shows up throughout his Arizona State film. His ability to play outside, inside, his quickness, ability to attack the football, I think certainly is highlighted and shown. And so I'm excited to just see those guys get on the field and let's start playing that chess match game of putting these guys in different positions. And I think that's the big thing for us that we value, is these guys' position flexibility, that, guys just don't sit on one side of the ball or just only play the slot. They can play all over the field, and that allows us to create matchups when we want.
How do Jordan and Chris Olave complement each other as receivers?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities. I think, Jordan's quickness, suddenness, he's a bigger body than probably, people realize. I think he's a really sturdy player. I think his ability, one thing that showed up is, I think he can become an elite blocker in our league, which I think is becoming so prominent. These Puka Nakuas and these guys that are all of our premier players in this league. Well, they're these really, really good blockers, and then they get all this action game stuff off of those looks. So Jordan has that in them. Chris was the vertical guy coming into the league. He had this juice and play over the top. New Orleans for just so many years now has had Sheed and Chris, and so you kind of play this game of who's taking the deep shots as we go. And so I think Chris certainly has that go get it downfield that will be exciting.
I think you'll probably give a coach speak answer to this question. I have to ask it, though, because it's in the news right now. Chris is obviously looking for a contract extension. The thought is that it's going to happen, at least from us in the media. Can you tell us anything about what's happening with Chris Olave and the team as you guys are working out potentially a long-term extension for him to stay a Saint for a long time?
Yeah, the business part of this thing comes up, and, Chris has handled that beautifully. I think for us, that's the business side, and as they navigate that, they'll do the best. He's got a really good team for himself, and obviously our organization's done a really good job just, I think, working through this. And so he's been here throughout this offseason program, helping lead our organization. And so, I think we're all optimistic. We're all excited to hopefully get to that point where he's a Saint for a really long time.
I'm going to compliment myself for a second here. I've already got Travis Etienne down. I'm not calling him Travis Etienne anymore. I've heard on some podcast people say Etienne, Travis Etienne now. Obviously a great season last year in Jacksonville. He joins your running back room now. What does Travis Etienne bring, Coach, to your offense?
Yeah, I think just explosiveness, and I think his ability to play every down in football. Running backs, a lot of times you have all these different specialties and things that you focus on. His ability to run the football on first and second down, his hands in the passing game on third down, and protections. Being a pass protector at the running back position would be a little bit of a challenge. And the best guys and the guys that you recognize the most are the guys that can do that. And that allows them to be on the field a ton, have a really heavy workload.
I'd love to ask you a philosophical question about offensive football, just from my vantage point. So I thought it was fascinating last year, and then it kind of manifested itself in the draft, and maybe I'm way off on this, and I'd love for you to tell me if I am. My feelings won't be hurt, right? So Coach McVay in Los Angeles starts running a ton of multiple, and I'm not saying he's the first one to ever do this, but it's kind of like the proliferation of this, right? Of multiple tight ends on the field, 2 or 3 tight ends. So it goes noted for me that we see 9 tight ends go in the first 3 rounds of the draft on Thursday and Friday night this year. And you guys took one in Oscar Delp to join like a tight end room that has some pretty good names in it already, including Jawan Johnson. So I'm curious, like I'm sure that that's something you noticed and maybe something you guys are looking to implement into your offense, maybe more or less, whatever. Am I fair in that assessment here? Because I kind of like, okay, Oscar Delp's here now to go along with some of the other tight ends. Maybe they'll be running some more 12 and 13 personnel this year. Am I off base on that?
No, I think it's a really good assessment. Our league at the end of the day is we're always growing and trying to get better. We're always trying to solve problems. And, when you have a full off season, the whole league's going to study all the best teams in our league. And when you have a season like the LA Rams, they play in 13 personnel a ton with 3 tight ends. You're going to see that trend follow around the league, just like on defense. When teams play the Seattle defense back in the day, everyone starts trying to find these, big, long press corners. And it's going to kind of be that copycat component. And so, certainly something that has been valuable in this league. And I think anytime you have multiple tight end sets, their ability to play in the run game, but in the pass game, it puts defenses in some conflicting situations.
This is kind of a nebulous question. So whatever answer you want to give is great to it. If you know that, right, on the offensive side, obviously the defensive coaches know it as well. So if you're a defensive coach, I'm guessing, even if you're Coach Staley, right, on your staff, you're thinking, okay, this is going to start maybe happening more. How do we combat this? And I think it's fascinating as a fan, kind of like the cat and mouse game that goes on between coaches to try and, in the offseason, to try and one-up each other, right? Like, what's the answer to this question? So as you sit to kind of answer some of these questions that defenses present you on the offensive side of the ball, you don't have to get into specifics, but what kind of goes into that for you when you're, like, as you're trying to problem solve offense v defense?
Yeah, I think that's the fun, like you said, it's the fun game that we all play. That's the part that we all enjoy. Certainly Rams had a ton of success. There were some times where some teams had some success against that 13 personnel. So obviously the defense are going to try and replicate that. The offense are going to have to identify, okay, what can we do different to, take advantage of that opportunity? And so it's a fun game back and forth. And, as soon as we get into the regular season, so there's going to be a couple trends that show up early in September football, and this league's going to follow it. And it's about the teams that I think have a really clean identity, but also have the adaptability as your season goes to be able to adjust based off of some of those trends that come up throughout the season. Those are the teams that play late.
Couple more minutes here with the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore. You better, you bet. Westwood One Sports, Nick Kostos, and you. So Demario Davis signs with the New York Jets, goes back to the Jets this offseason, and I like a lot of the players on your defense. I think Caden Ellis, for instance, is going to have an awesome year. But Demario leaves, obviously, a leadership void on defense, at least from my vantage point. When you assess your defense, who kind of stands out to you as maybe the natural leader of this defense in 2026, and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Demario is who Demario is. He's a really special person, really special player. He's meant a lot to, the New York organization, but also New Orleans here for a long time. And so he'll do great things up there. It gives a bunch of young guys opportunities for us to develop and become, kind of the vocal leaders of that side of the football. I think Caden, obviously, he's been a captain type role in Atlanta for a couple of years. He's going to transition beautifully for us. He's going to be a big time player. Chase Young is kind of reaching that point now where like this is his time to go, and he's had a great early couple of years in his career. Now he's going to have this big time opportunity. And then I think our back end, we have a young secondary that I really love and I'm really excited about just because of these guys' balance of experience and kind of high football IQ. I think our safeties, you got Justin Reed, you got Julian Blackman, you got Jonas Sanker, guys who played a lot of football there. Kool-Aid is kind of coming into his realm now where this is year 3 and it's time to, take that leadership role. And so, it's just going to be awesome to let these guys kind of organically kind of take those roles and opportunities.
My last football question, my opinion, I feel like Coach Staley, I don't want to say got a raw deal in Los Angeles as the coach of the Chargers, but maybe as a result of whatever happened there after the first year, it seemed like his reputation took a little bit of a hit, at least with people like me in the media. But there can be no questioning, I think, Coach, that he's a great defensive coach. And now entering year 2 of this program, me personally, I look at what he did in Los Angeles with the Rams. He's the Rams defensive coordinator. I'm really excited for what this can be for you guys on defense with Coach Staley. Just on Coach Staley and his impact on your team and what you're expecting from the defense this year with him in charge.
Yeah, I love Brandon. Obviously, I had a chance to work with him for 1 year in Los Angeles. when I had the opportunity to come back here. It was an awesome opportunity to kind of team back up. He does a phenomenal job on defense. He's innovative, he's creative, he's sound. He played really clean football. Last year, he did an awesome job with a group that was a really blend of, we had some really veteran players, but we had a lot of really, really young players going out there and playing football early in their careers. And so I thought we had a ton of success there. And he was able to kind of steady that ship in a really positive way. And so he does a phenomenal job. I think we always have a chance every single week in the NFL because he's going to do a great job coordinating that group and putting them in a really good position to be successful. And so, I feel very fortunate that he's here.
Now, keep in mind, we'll be playing this interview tomorrow on Thursday after the result of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I'm a huge Knicks fan. I'm picking the Knicks tonight, lifelong diehard Knicks fan. So maybe we will praise you or maybe we will laugh, Coach, tomorrow when we play this at the answer to this question. Who will win Game 1 of the NBA Finals tonight, Wednesday night, played on a Thursday, this interview, Knicks and the Spurs in San Antonio?
Oh, this is going to be a good one. This is the battle of one series went fast, one series went all the way to the end. And so there's always that element of, who's fresh and who's maybe, been waiting for a little while. And so still going Spurs, home court. There's some energy there. I think they may still get it, but, the Knicks are fresh and ready to go. So it'll be a fun series.
Final question. What is your favorite dish at what restaurant in New Orleans?
Oh, tough. There's too many. I'm always good. I'm a steak and potatoes and kind of a, traditional meal in that sense. So Desi's is always the go-to there from that standpoint. But the fish is something that I've definitely embraced, and I'm getting better each and every opportunity that I get.
So I guess you were not a big fish guy in the past, and now you're in New Orleans, and you feel like you have to be. It sounds like
I'm a Northwest salmon halibut, fish guy. Okay. So now I'm getting to a little bit more diversity in that fish menu.
Have you had turtle soup? I had it at Commander's Palace in New Orleans. Have you had turtle soup since you've been in New Orleans? Honestly, it was delicious.
Just once. I'll have to do it again.
I felt like Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was great. Coach, this was awesome. I sincerely appreciate the time at OTAs. Thank you very much. I'm going to wish you best of luck this season, but candidly, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. I say it when you're not on the air. I'll say it this summer. I am so pumped to watch you guys this year. I think you've got this program moving absolutely the right direction. The offense was great down the stretch last year. I can't wait to watch Tyler and the running backs and the wide receivers. I think it's going to be great. Congratulations and wishing you the best of luck and a lot of health to your team this summer.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
The head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, joining us here on You Better You Bet. Sounds like he liked the Knicks a little bit tonight. I hope he's right. A lot on the Knicks coming up on the show today. More on the Kellen Moore interview right after this on Westwood One Sports.
Back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. And BetMGM players will receive a World's Game Tournament Winner Boost token. Add the Tournament Winner Boost to your bet slip and activate the token. If your wager wins with the token, you'll receive extra winnings in unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. Kellen Moore comes across very well, does he not? Now, obviously, I know going into that interview, he's not answering my question on Chris Olave's contract extension. He's not going to give me a lot on Alvin Kamara showing up to OTAs and if he's going to be on the roster this year. I have to ask the question. Like we talked about cat and mouse game that goes on with offensive and defensive coaches. That's the cat and mouse game that goes on with a coach and like a talk show host. And I know that. And I don't take offense to it. Of course he's not going to answer those questions. Why would he? If he did, it's going to bring news and unwanted attention on him and his team. The rest of those answers, it's good stuff. I loved him talking about how Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson complement each other. And I can't wait to see those two catching passes this year from Tyler Shuck. And the tight ends and Travis Achan, and I really like their offensive line. I was thinking about it last night, about Brandon Staley, who's the defensive coordinator of the Saints. We remember his tenure with the Chargers, right? He has that first year there after, he's a stud as the DC of the Rams, using Jalen Ramsey in the star role, gets hired to coach the Chargers. And he has that first year where they're going for it on fourth downs, and it's working, right? And then, in the final game of the year, literally the final game of the year on Sunday Night Football, they tie with the Raiders and miss the playoffs. And he has a couple questionable decisions. And it felt like from there, the media kind of like bullied him a little bit. And, I'll criticize Staley. He kind of stopped doing what he had been doing. And they, blew the huge lead in the wild card round against the Jaguars. And then he gets fired after they get humiliated by the Raiders on the Thursday night game a couple years ago. I think he's a stud defensive coach. There's more talent on that defense now than there was last year. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Staley's a head coach again in the NFL at some point. I think I'm going to pick Carolina to win the NFC South this year. I'm not that far off on New Orleans. Final hour, power hour coming up on the other side. More on Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Our bets for tonight. Some Micah Parsons. But we'll start the hour with the great Noah Eagle here on You Better You Bet.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. Final hour. Power hour. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our incredible crew, Noah Eagle, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. Yours truly, still on Cloud 9, in delirium, in ecstasy, following the Knicks win last night, Game 1 of the NBA Finals in San Antonio against the Spurs. We will get more into the Spurs end of Game 1 and why Dylan Harper, I think, needs to play even more in Game 2 than he did in Game 1. We'll get to that in about 20 minutes. And why the Green Bay Packers, come Halloween, could easily find themselves under 500. We've got news on the Packers that I will break down for you coming up in a little bit. But joining us right now on the show to start off the Power Hour, the aforementioned, always love having him on the show. And I always say when we bring a guest on and the guest is not on social media, that the guest is the smartest person on the room, because social media is a cesspool, even if we all kind of, or I at least, have to be on it. Now, Noah Eagle is like on social media, technically has a Twitter account, has an Instagram account, but Noah, you don't really use the social media account, and I have to say to you, I'm jealous. Thanks for joining the show. How's it going?
All is well, man. All is well. How about yourself?
Doing great. Can we talk about your social media usage before we get into some good stuff here? So like you have accounts, you don't really post. Is that a conscious decision? I hope that it is.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, look, you mentioned it. I think so many of us now, it's kind of a requirement to have the account, and it certainly was as I was building the beginning of my career, but I was fortunate timing-wise that I graduated school and TikTok wasn't really a thing, and I kind of got off and running in my career, and I was fortunate that I didn't really need to use this as the tool that I know so many have, and that's where I think it is a brilliant access point for so many. But I've just gotten really lucky that I've gotten great opportunities without it, and the hope is that continues. I also have a very understanding boss at NBC in Sam Flood that feels work and what you do on the air is going to be most important. So as long as I've got that in my corner, then I feel pretty good about it.
Have you ever considered deleting your social? If I felt like I could, I would. Now I think I'd still use it because I like looking at content. I don't think I'd ever post if I didn't have to. Have you ever thought about actually deleting the accounts outright?
No, not necessarily. I think that it is important to at least be up to date on everything, and the best way to do that at this current juncture of our society is to be on social media and to be vigilant in doing so. So, no, I don't think it would be deleting, but I am definitely glad that I'm not somebody that needs to post all the time. Now, when it's required or when it feels like it's the right thing to do, then totally get that and totally am willing to do that. But for me and for how I kind of go about things right now, whatever I'm doing is kind of working.
Which is your favorite social media? I like Instagram. I actually enjoy using Instagram. Just like the user experience, the content on it. Which is your favorite of the apps to use?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just sitting at home, then yeah, I go on Instagram. You can scroll through all the timeline now. It's basically like TikTok has been transferred over there, and basically it's like the DVD release of TikTok, the TikTok itself is like going to the theater, and Instagram, you get it 3 weeks later. But I would tell you that if in the middle of a game and working, I want to make sure that I'm getting all the updates. So you're on Twitter at that point, and you're making sure that you're staying up to date on whatever's happening within the game, obviously news. So it's really dependent on what I'm looking for.
What was the experience like calling NBA playoff games this season? Like, not this season, like recently. What was that experience like for you?
Incredible. I mean, I know we've talked about it before, but the NBA to me was as big a part of my childhood and my life as anything. I loved it, obsessive over it in many ways. And so now to be a part of it at that level, you can't beat that. And being at these games, feeling the atmospheres, it definitely just brought back all those memories of me being a fan and going to games, going to playoff games, feeling the arena shake, literally. It just doesn't quite hit the same as anything else. Like, it's different. It just feels that way. And so it's awesome. And it was a great experience to share it with so many amazing people and broadcasters. And so excited to get right back to the NBA as next season approaches before you even know it.
In the second round series, right, with the Cavs and the Pistons, you had a line that I think kind of went at least semi-viral, if not fully viral on social media, which was the Cavalanche as Cleveland was on a run, which I watched and laughed out loud when you said it. It drew acclaim on both sides, I guess. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it, which is the mark of a great call, I think, when people are talking about it. When you think back on it, the Cavalanche call, what are your thoughts on it now with it in the rearview mirror? I really loved it.
I appreciate it. No, look, that series was really fun to call, and both of those, we did game 1, 3, and 4, and so we got the sense of the Detroit crowd at home and how that was, and they were great, and then we got a sense of the Cleveland crowd in games 3 and 4, and they were awesome. It was honestly the best I feel like I had heard in Cleveland in years, probably since LeBron left. And they were juiced up, and they certainly guided their team over the finish line. But the Cavalanche is something that they've definitely embraced in Cleveland, and so I just felt like it was more of an ode to them and giving them their respect of what they've done over the last couple of years and how they've built that back up and the crowd, and it was more to them. But we definitely had some fun in that series. We had in Game 4 as Donovan Mitchell's going off, we had a full old school battle, so to speak, from the movie Old School of just references where all three of us were dropping some. There was a fun one with Donovan Mitchell and Duncan Robinson in Game 3, obviously calling a vintage Harden finish. So you just try to relish in those moments, and you never take them for granted, honestly.
This is not like a leading question. I think whatever the answer is great. And I've asked your dad the same question before when I've had him on the air. So things like that, like Cavalanche, or like some of the stuff you've done with Donovan Mitchell and Spida. Now, is that stuff that you think about in advance and like in the moment? And obviously you have to be thinking so fast because you don't know what's going to happen, though, how fast the game moves. Is that something you're thinking about in advance, something that you're pulling in the moment? And again, like, I don't ask that question to insinuate that one way is better than the other. I don't think it matters. I think the result is really good. I'm just curious, in your process as a play-by-play guy, kind of how does that go? I think the audience grooves on stuff like this.
Sure. So, I mean, for me, the vast majority of what I say is not planned or thought of beforehand. I said with Donovan Mitchell that Duncan Robinson got lost in Spider's web in Game 3. Great. I did not think of that until the moment, truly. The same goes for all those old school references. Mitchell Palooza, I didn't think of that until literally it just came out. But the Cavalanche one is different because that's something that we've seen in Cleveland be utilized before. And I thought right after Game 3, because they had made a run in Game 3 to extend the lead, I was like, man, I probably should have used Cavalanche. But I had it for Game 4 now because it was fresh in my mind. And so it's just different based on the circumstance. But I would tell you that 90% of the time it's just whatever comes out in the moment. It's just not pre-planned. And then every now and then there's something that maybe you thought of or you thought, I should have used it this time. I'll keep that for next time. So it really is situational for that.
It's so funny, right? Because you know this, right? And to a lesser degree, I know. But, people watch at home and don't realize like how difficult and how fast your brain needs to be moving, how difficult this job is. And I think people really groove on answers like that. I'd love for you for a moment So you're a huge NBA fan, as you said, right? Obsessed with the NBA and obsessed with basketball. Let's take the play-by-play hat off for a moment. I'd love for you to put your analyst hat on, or even your fan hat on, right? Watching last night, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and watching the run that the New York Knicks have been on here. How do you put it into perspective? 12 straight wins now, up 1-0, beat the Spurs last night on the road in Game 1 of the Finals.
Yeah, I mean, it's all-time. They're on an all-time run right now. It's very simple. And we're seeing things happen that have never been done before. All those consecutive road wins by double digits, that's remarkable in the playoffs. And I understand that from a matchup perspective, the path that they had through the Eastern Conference might not be looked at as this really arduous journey. Joel Embiid not being healthy in that second round. Cleveland defensively just was never going to be up for the challenge. That first round series gave them the most fits, and games 2 and 3 against Atlanta, they lost by 1 point. I mean, their point differential in the playoffs is all time. And right now, I think what stood out to me that's probably been, and this is really what stood out last night, because their bench had already played well through the playoffs, but the way that their bench played, Landry Shamet continuing to play at the level he is and his level of aggression and efficiency, Deuce McBride coming in and giving the minutes that he has. Even Jose Alvarado had a high impact in his role last night, and then certainly Mitchell Robinson. They would love for him to be 100% healthy, but he clearly was still effective enough that they could throw him out there. But I think my biggest takeaway was how great Karl Anthony Towns was. And if they're going to win the series, he's got to play like that every single game, because Victor Wembanyama did not have his best game, and the Spurs almost won without him having his best. What's going to happen if he does play at his best is now my next question. But so impressive. They deserve all the credit. I think Mike Brown deserves a ton of credit as well for just how he's handled the entire situation. And we'll see what they do here moving forward, how greedy they can get in Game 2.
When you watch these games on TV, are you able to divorce yourself from being Noah Eagle, play-by-play broadcaster, which does not mean like you're being critical of Mike Breen in your head? Like that's not what it means. But are you able to sit down and watch it as a fan and ignore all the aspects of TV that you're intimately familiar with and really able to absorb it just as a fan? Because I really think the answer could go either way potentially.
Yeah, it probably is somewhere in the middle. There are moments where your just fandom comes out. I think about watching the Western Conference Finals and that Victor Wembanyama 3 in Game 1. That's just, it's like, whoa, what just happened? And you think back to yourself as a fan, and then there are moments where you're just watching, and naturally you think about, how would I call it? How would I do that? How would I approach this? Oh, I really like that they did this. Let me try to incorporate that next time. I do think that's part of also your own process and growth of you're trying to be the best version of yourself long term and always trying to get better. Well, one of the best ways to do that is to listen to the greats that are currently doing it, that have done in the past, and take bits and pieces of what they do and make it your own version of that. And so it's certainly no different. Watching the finals is the highest level. So I would be stupid not to do that.
One of those greats is your dad, Ian, and Noah Eagle here with us on the show. And, every time I talk to you or your dad, I always try and get some, because there's always something new that's happening, right? That's really cool in your father-son relationship, right? And I think anyone can acknowledge that, right? Like, I'm a dad. How cool it would be to be able to, for my daughter to do what I do and be able to, to talk to her about it, right? When he's calling NBA playoff games for Amazon Prime, you're calling them for NBC and Peacock, and how awesome that is. I'd love for you to take us, inside kind of as much as you want to, that personal relationship and how unique that is, that, this sort of thing doesn't happen, and candidly, how cool that is, I'm sure, for you guys.
Yeah, it is. It really is special. And the cool thing is it expands beyond just us. There's family atmospheres everywhere. We've got my statistician, one of my 2 statisticians, Tyler Freed, his dad, Dave Freed, is Mike Breen's statistician. So for the 2 of them, Tyler was working the majority of the Western Conference Finals with Mike Tirico, and then you've got Dave working with Mike Breen. That's awesome. I just think you see that around the NBA, whether it's players and Dylan Harper being a prominent example right now, or Jalen and Rick Brunson right now. I just think that that's probably one of my favorite aspects about the NBA is feels like extended family all around anyway. And so when it's your immediate family on top of that, it only strengthens how special that truly is. But yeah, for the two of us, I think just talking about whether it's travel, whether it's meetings and things that we heard or whatever it might be, it's great. I mean, it's always great to exchange ideas and also to have a sense of what the other one's walking into, which was really fun this playoffs, where he did game 1 in New York, I did game 2. Then he did a game 3 in Houston, I did game 4. It was just like there were a couple of these that I was following him or he was following me, and I thought that was really cool as well.
Doing games WNBA now for NBC. Do you ever take a break?
Yeah, when I go to sleep.
Like when do you go on vacation? Does that happen?
Well, it hasn't really happened the last couple years. It's just all based on, again, timing and circumstance. But you think about 2 years ago, in the summer we had Roland Garros for the final year, and then we had the Olympics. So I spent a lot of time in France, and that was essentially my vacation. I was there for 40 days total. So I got to really get to know Paris. I tried to improve my French. I was a French failure at that, but it was cool. You know, you get cultured. And then later that year, I got to go to Brazil for an NFL game. I went to Dublin for a Notre Dame game. So it's not like I'm not getting away. The other thing is you travel so much during the season. You spend so many nights in hotels. You get to what is considered the quote-unquote off-season, and you say, I don't really want to get on another plane right now. I'd like to just sleep in my bed consistently for a little bit. And so it is a tough battle to fight, but I certainly wouldn't change any of it for the world. I mean, I think it's the greatest career. I think it's the greatest job, and it really is something that you dream about doing. And so getting to do it, yeah, it's incredible. So to answer your question, whatever the off time might be, it is, but I would not exchange that. I wouldn't say, oh man, I'm missing out on X, Y, or Z because of this. This is exactly what I'm hoping to do.
I want to be clear. I 1,000% believe that. Like 1,000,000% believe that you wouldn't give up like what you're doing in order to like go on vacation. Obviously that's true. But with that being said, you are a human being, and I think people can empathize with this, even if they acknowledge what you're saying is true. Is any part of you like, man, I'd love to go sit on a beach for a couple weeks? Because even like you go to Dublin, great, like you're still working. and obviously you want to do that. And like I understand that and the audience understands it. Any part of you like, man, I'd love to just like, just go and like turn my phone off for a couple weeks and sit on the beach.
No, but you find those pockets. We all have those pockets. And so there are ways of doing that. And everybody has their own methods of kind of get away and shut down and recharge. And so for me, the summertime, for the majority of the time, is that. And I thoroughly enjoy sitting somewhere and reading, whether it's at Central Park or by the water or whatever it might be. But that's what works for me. So it's really whatever works for you to get you back to the point that you can lock in and do what you got to do. I think that's the biggest key.
What's the best book you read this year?
This year? Well, I read a bunch. I'm in the middle of reading the Dick Ebersol book. I'm actually about halfway through it now. It's actually fascinating. But I really like, I toggle between fiction and nonfiction. So I've been reading this series it starts with Assassins Anonymous. Very good. And then I also read Project Hail Mary before the movie came out. But now I got to find a way to watch the movie to see if I can compare it book to movie.
Is there any truth to the rumor that if you get a job at NBC Sports, you are required to read the Dick Ebersol book?
No, that was just my own accord. I like you went exactly what I was saying before. Think about what I was saying about watching these games and trying to take whatever you can. Well, it goes for reading within the broadcasting historical aspect. I want to understand how people got to certain places, what they did to embark on certain journeys, decisions they made when maybe things could have gone a different direction. I find that stuff really interesting, and I actually think it helps then your own viewpoint and understanding of the business and, more importantly, the creative process that comes with it.
Final question. You obviously spend a lot of time on the road, as you said, hotel rooms, etc. What is Noah Eagle's funniest travel-related story from this past season and why?
This past season, well, I mean, listen, it's just, it really depends again on hotel versus plane versus other type of travel stuff. You know, I had the one where you're traveling in the middle of those massive snowstorms this year, and so those always cause something. But I really, last year I had one where I had to move rooms 3 times because of a ladybug infestation in one of the hotel issues. And I guess this was but it was a nationwide thing, so it wasn't even like it was in a specific area. But I just went down to the desk and I said, "Hey, I think I need to change rooms." And the woman goes, "Let me guess, ladybugs?" I go, "Yeah, really good guess." And so that happened a couple times before we finally found. She eventually came to check with me after I told her the third room had a colony behind the blinds.
Were you angry when I would have been so mad if I was like, I need to change rooms, and the woman said to me, let me guess, ladybugs? The implication being, if you knew that there were ladybugs in the room, why would you put me in there? Were you pissed? I'm pissed hearing you say that.
Yeah, you see, I would have been if my entire crew was fine, but everybody was dealing with it, so it wasn't a me issue. I was more so just saying, I think I was more laughing. I think I was laughing at the fact that she just sniped that. I didn't even have to say anything, so it was clearly not a me thing. So no, I wouldn't call it anger. There are other things over the course of travel and hotel that can get you to anger, but that wasn't one of them.
I looked up while you were talking, Assassins Anonymous, and it looks pretty good. I might check it out. I'm not joking
It's
when
awesome.
I say that.
I was as I'm reading it. Yeah, well, as I was reading it, I just was thinking, man, this would be really great as like a series on Amazon Prime or something like that. So if anybody's listening, just think about that. I think it could be high quality entertainment.
Noah, you're awesome, man. Appreciate it very much. Congratulations on the success. Hope to do this down the line.
You got it, man. Appreciate it.
Noah Eagle on the show. Ladybug. So when I think about ladybugs, my daughter loves them. Like we have a couple like ladybug, like lawn ornaments almost, like around the house. And whenever she sees it, she goes, ladybug. She loves them. They're very like pleasant bugs, right? Like there are, are bugs pleasant? No, right? But if there were a pleasant bug, wouldn't a ladybug be the Now, look, I don't want to sleep in a room that's infested with ladybugs. I'm not saying I want that. But like if, power ranking, right? What is, if you had to be in a room that was infested with a bug, and infest is a bad word, that had bugs in it, which would be the bug that if you had to choose the bug? Is ladybug the answer? Like what else would you even choose? They're all horrible. Ladybug seems to be, Kenny says moth. Kenny, I don't think, you don't get out much. Moth is, are you joking? Moth is what the serial killer in Silence of the Lamb uses to mark his, moth? Like ants is terrible. Bees are, even if I think, bees, I tell my daughter, she's like, Daddy, bee. I go, just don't bother the bee. It's not going to bother you. So it's like you're sleeping in a bed, right? And there's a couple bees in the room. Like they're not going to sting you because you're not going to bother them, right? They're going to fly around. Flies suck. Like bugs suck. They just do. Anyway, back to sports on the other side. Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers. A no good day for the Washington Commanders. And what the hell was Mitch Johnson thinking not playing Dylan Harper at the end of the game last night? That's all next on You Better You Bet.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
All right, so we have some breaking news in the National Football League, and a little serendipitous, because this factors into a topic that I was planning to discuss. ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Packers and wide receiver Christian Watson have reached agreement on a 4-year, $110.5 million contract extension that includes a $31 million signing bonus. So the Packers extending the contract of Christian Watson, and it looks like Green Bay will have just a 3. Remember last year, here's Dontavian Wicks playing a lot, and it's just, can we just stick to a couple of guys? Too much to ask for? I feel like we're going to have a 3-receiver set in Green Bay this year. It'll be Christian Watson and Matthew Golden, last year's first-round pick, along with Jaden Reed, maybe a little rookie Savion Williams. We shall see. But I think that'll be the primary 3-receiver set. And if Tucker Kraft comes back, I think this offense can obviously be pretty good, even if I don't necessarily have full belief in the offensive line. My issue with the Green Bay Packers is not really, are they going to score points? I'm a big Jordan Love fan. Matt LaFleur does a nice job. I think they'll definitely score points. The issue that Green Bay is going to face, and at least to begin the season, they're going to be without Micah Parsons. So Micah Parsons answering the question that a lot of us were asking, which is, when's he going to come back and play this year? Parsons telling the media yesterday in Wisconsin at Green Bay that he will open the season on PUP, physically unable to perform, which will knock him out for, at minimum, the first 4 games of the season. Presumably from there, the Packers will not just rush him back into the lineup after not practicing. So let's say that he's back week 6 at the absolute earliest. It could be possibly week 5. I think that's unlikely. Maybe it's even later than that. But let's say Parsons is out for the first 6 games of the season. Green Bay's schedule is as follows. At Minnesota. At the Jets. Home Atlanta. At Tampa. Home Bears. And then, week 6, Sunday Night Football at home against Micah Parsons' former team, Dallas Cowboys. That'll be the game that everyone's going to expect him to return for, right, to play his former team. And then, if he's not back for by then, the next week is at the Detroit Lions, where they will absolutely need him back for that game. So, what's this Packers defense going to look like early in the season without Micah Parsons? When you look at Green Bay's pass rush from last year and the players that they lost, it really does not fill you with confidence that the pass rush is going to be great this season. So Parsons led the team in sacks, right? He had 12.5 sacks prior to getting hurt against the Broncos towards the end of the year. The second leading sack man last year for the Packers was Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary is now a Dallas Cowboy. So Parsons with 12.5, he will open the season on PUP. Gary had 7.5 sacks. He's now a Cowboy. Devontae Wyatt was third with 4. We think he'll be good to go to start the season. Quay Walker had 2.5. He's now a Raider. Kingsley Enagbare had 2. He's now a New York Jet. Now, I fully expect the Packers to add a pass rusher at some point in between now and the start of the season. It's not going to be Josh Sweat based on all the reporting, but I fully expect them to add a pass rusher. Where is the pass rush coming from? And I'm not saying like later in the season the pass rush can't be really good. Parsons is one of the best pass rushers in the league. This is early in the season. I think they're going to have to win some shootouts. Now, like maybe the Jets are just going to stink and Aaron Glenn's a terrible coach, certainly within the realm of possibility. We'll see what Atlanta's offense looks like here with like Tua or Michael Penix starting. I think they're going to have to score points. The betting application of this would be Week 1 in Minnesota. The total of that game right now is 45.5. Packers at Vikings. I love the over in that game. And I understand we're months out. Just like, how are the Packers going to get heat on Kyler Murray? How's it happening? And I have enough faith in Green Bay to be able to score even on a Brian Flores defense with the talent the Packers have on offense. I like the over a lot in that game. Don't be surprised if the Packers are under 500 by the time Micah Parsons returns. Because it's not just Parsons. Gary's not there, and I don't see where the juice is coming from unless you want to say, like, tell yourself a story about Lucas Van Ness. Tell yourself a story about some of these young pass rushers for the Green Bay Packers. Like, what's Carl Brooks going to do? Can Edgerrin Cooper get after the passer? Will's brother, Warren Brinson. How's this going to go? Just saying, for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, I like the Vikings more than the Packers. I like the Lions more than the Packers. And as time goes on, I'm starting to believe less and less in the sophomore slump coming for the Bears in year 2 of Ben Johnson, because I think there's a real legitimate chance that Ben Johnson is one of, quote unquote, those coaches. One other NFL note for today. So I've said a couple times, teasing, right, that yesterday was a bad day for the Washington Commanders. And you are probably asking yourself, I didn't hear anything about the Commanders yesterday. Why is Nick saying that? In a related note, joining us Monday on the show will be the head coach of the Washington Commanders, Dan Quinn. Not bad. Kellen Moore today, Dan Quinn on Monday. You better, you bet. Firing on all cylinders. We absolutely love it. So why was yesterday a bad day for the Washington Commanders? The answer lies in the Bay Area. Now, you might recall that during his time away from the team, because it seems like he's crazy, and like the type of crazy, and I use this analogy sometimes, like sometimes you'll meet someone and say, oh, well, that guy's crazy, right? And then you meet someone that's actually crazy, and you realize there's a big difference. Brandon Ayuk might actually be crazy. So this is just like Sports Illustrated used to run this feature back in the day when Sports Illustrated was a thing. This week's sign of the apocalypse. People remember that? This week's sign of the apocalypse would have been Brandon Ayuk filming himself and putting it on his YouTube page, driving past Levi Stadium in December, going like 70 miles an hour over the speed limit. He's nuts. So he issued an apology after that. Like, hey, I know I shouldn't do this. Wow, what a shock. So yesterday, the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office issued a warrant for his arrest on a misdemeanor charge of exhibition of speeding in reference to that video he posted on YouTube in December, where he posted himself going well over the posted 40-mile-per-hour speed limit on the road that runs past Levi Stadium. Amid news of the warrant being issued for his arrest, Ayuk posted on his personal Instagram yesterday himself driving around a racetrack. He's nuts, right? So why is this bad news for the Commanders? David Blau, the young offensive coordinator, taking over for Cliff Kingsbury. Jaden Daniels and company looking for a bounce-back season. We'll talk to Dan Quinn about this. No, Dan Quinn's not going to, he's not going to talk about Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk's still a 49er, right? I'll ask the question. He's not going to answer it. I'm just saying that's how this is going to go. The cat and mouse game, how it's going to go that we talked about earlier. But we have presumed, a lot of us, me, you, a lot, this offseason, that Brandon Ayuk is going to be a Commander this year. That he's going to play with, he was at Arizona State once upon a time, feels like a long time ago, with Jaden Daniels, and that he'll be a Commander's receiver this year. And that when we think about the Commanders' receiving core, we should think about them with Brandon Ayuk. Well, now there's a warrant out for his arrest. He's posting another video driving around a racetrack, and there's nothing illegal about that. But again, to ask yourself this question, do you think he gets it? Let's touch on the Commander's skill position group around Jaden Daniels. The running backs are Bill Krosky-Merritt, who's okay, can't catch the ball. Rashad White, who might lead the team in carries and make of that what you will. Rookie Katron Allen from Penn State. Maybe he'll be good, maybe not. Mid-round running back in a terrible running back draft outside of Love and Price. Terry McLaurin's awesome. No one's going to argue that. Here are the rest of the Commanders' wide receivers as currently constituted. Treylon Burks, who is the answer to the trivia question, who did the Tennessee Titans get in the A.J. Brown trade? Not great, even if he can resuscitate his career. De'Ami Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Christian's brother, that's actually true. Jalen Lane, Nathan's son, not true at all. Van Jefferson, rookie Antonio Williams. Does that strike fear into the hearts of anybody outside of McLaurin? Any player? I like Chigakonkwo, who they signed away from the Titans at tight end, and maybe he'll be awesome with Jaden Daniels in this offense, in the David Blau offense. But again, does it strike fear into anyone's heart? Anybody? Even if the situation, Ayuk's not going to face big legal trouble. I'm not saying he is, right? At some point, the Niners will blink and release him. I can't imagine a team's going to trade for him. I think he'll probably be a Commander this year. Can you count on him? And how's this going to go this year for Jaden Daniels? I'm not guaranteeing or saying it's going to be bad, but I think reasonable minds can agree. It's a gigantic, gigantic question mark. You better you bet on this Thursday, Nick Kostos and you on Westwood One Sports. Last note now on Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I can't believe, and this is maybe the 8th time I've said it this postseason, but every time I believe it's merited. I can't believe how good Dylan Harper is. 20 years old, comes into the game last night, is the best player on the court in the first quarter, and I believe he was San Antonio's best player best player through the duration of the game. He's fearless. He takes it to you, and he woofs at you and trash talks. I almost dropped the S-bomb. Bleep talks after he makes a shot on you. And yet, De'Aaron Fox is closing the game, and De'Aaron Fox went 3 of 13 from the field. Now, I get it. Fox is a former clutch player of the year. He made a couple big shots down the stretch against OKC in Game 7. I get it. If you're Mitch Johnson, in addition to an adjustment being get Wemby underneath the basket more, I think another one has to be Dylan Harper's got to play more. He has to. He's too good. And I'm a Knicks fan telling you that. I think that was a pretty critical error by Mitch Johnson last night, not playing Dylan Harper more. And I don't care whose expense it comes at. You're never taking Castle off the court. And whether it's Fox, Champagne, it doesn't matter. Dylan Harper's got to be on the court in the closing moments here. If you're going to lose, which they did last night, you need to lose with your best guys. I thought Mitch Johnson didn't get that right last night, and Mike Brown got everything right last night. One of the reasons why I'm confident the Knicks will win tomorrow night on the road in game number 2. Our executive producer is Bill Zimmerman, and Bill has the trivia question of the day today. Bill, what do we got here on this Thursday?
All right, Nick. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the New York Knicks are just 3 wins away from winning their first NBA championship in well over 50 years. Now, the Knicks went 53-29 in the regular season. In the last 40 years, there are 2 teams in an 82-game season that won less games than your New York Knicks and were crowned champions. Can you name those 2 teams?
Well, one is the 95 Rockets, for sure.
That is correct. 95 Rockets, 47-35.
So in the last how many years?
40. So basically your lifetime.
Okay. So 83 Sixers won. When was the advent of the 82-game season? It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, that dates back into the 70s. You don't have to worry about that.
All right. So it's not the 83 Sixers. I don't think it's any of the Celtics or it's not a team in the 80s, right?
Correct.
Okay. So 90 is the Pistons. I don't think it's them. 91 Bulls, no. 92 Bulls, 93 Bulls, 94 Rockets, 95 Rockets, 96, 97, 98 Bulls, no. 99 is the strike shortened year. 2000, 01, and 02 is the Lakers. It's none of them. I don't think it's the Spurs. I don't think it's the Pistons. Is it the Heat or is it one of the Heat or the Mavericks?
It is one of the Heat or the Mavericks.
It's the 11 Mavericks, right? It's not the 05 Heat, the 11 Mavericks.
You were close. It is the 05 Heat, the Dwayne Wade
team that
Heat.
beat Dallas. Yeah.
They went 52-30.
Okay, I get partial credit for the answer. Or
Definitely partial credit.
Okay. I just like naming champions. It's fun. All right, take a break. On the other side, bets for tonight to wrap up the Thursday edition of the show right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
BetMGM players will receive a World's Game Tournament Winner Boost token. Add the tournament winner boost to your bet slip and activate the token. If your wager wins with the token, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. Thanks to our guests on the show today, the great Sal Licata, Noah Eagle, and the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore. Bill Zimmerman, our executive producer, Tyler Morales, our technical director, Kenny Henderson on the board, Mike Brown and Dan Turner, our video producers. I am off to... Bill, who's doing the show tomorrow? Chris Mack? Chris Mack. The great Chris Mack will be in tomorrow. I am off. I will be back on Monday morning here with you on You Better You Bet. Just allow me to say this. My birthday on Saturday. I turned 43. Thank you very much. Thank you to the listeners and viewers for allowing me to another year on this planet doing something I truly, truly, truly love to do. I appreciate each and every one of you. You know, if we had extra time on the show today, what we should really do, like next week on the show, like if there's, like Bill, I want you to please remember this. Somebody. Mike, can we finagle it so we can play the 82-0 game on the air and see who builds the best team? Like one chance each, spins, etc. I think would be fun content. Because I'm probably going to play it about 1,000 times today. I'm obsessed with it. And then Dan sent over last night, there's a 20-0 NFL game, which I only played once. I want to get the hang of it a little bit. The one thing I don't like about it is it'll be like AJ Green 2011 to 2015, just as I don't even know if that's right. And it'll only pick one season with the stats. I don't like that. It should just be like you get the player. That's my one criticism. Anyway, let's get to the bets for tonight. Kenny, please drop the dope-ass beat. All right. One bet for tonight. I'm not betting baseball. Not doing it. And congratulations to Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies for breaking the record for most scoreless innings consecutively by a left-handed pitcher, falling short of the overall record, which is held by Oral Hershiser. But still, amazing stuff by Christopher Sanchez in the NL Cy Young race. Shohei Ohtani had more hits himself than he allowed last night pitching for the Dodgers. His ERA is .74. That NL Cy Young race is something else. Well, obviously, as we get deeper into the summer and the NBA fades away, a lot more baseball coming up on the show. Also, the World Cup, 1 week from today. We absolutely love that. One bet for me tonight, and it'll be in the Stanley Cup Final. You know I'm betting Vegas. Had Vegas in Game 1. It was awesome. I think the Knights will win the series. The Hurricanes were lackadaisical in Game number 1, and even if they come out and they're more with it tonight, and they're not taking breaks during the plays like Gotsis-Bearsteady did on the Hurdle game-winning goal, I still like Vegas. I think Carter Hart's going to play better tonight than Freddie Anderson. I like the Knights to win, and I was texting with friend of the show, Ken Barkley, last night about this. In my opinion, not his. I think we will see lower-scoring games rest of series. I do think Freddie Anderson will play better in net, and Carolina will be more disciplined, but I trust Vegas more. Under 6, Vegas to win. Let's call it 3-1 Vegas tonight. Take a 2-0 lead, headed back to Sin City for game numero 3. That does it for the Thursday edition of You Better You Bet. I am off tomorrow. The great Chris Mack is in for me. Make sure you check him out. So until we meet again, dear listener and dear viewer, that will be on Monday morning. I am Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. Our good pals, Bleck and Abdallah, coming up next here on Westwood One Sports.